Hello everyone, welcome to another video. My name is Nayiri if you're new here. I'm a psychiatry resident doctor in LA and I share what my life is like, and today we're going to talk about all things psychiatry residency. I have gotten so many DMs on Instagram and mostly TikTok, honestly, about people's interest in psychiatry and pursuing psychiatry and just like having so many questions, having no idea what to expect or really what the entire process is like. I have another video that talks about how to become a psychiatrist, so I'll link that one in the description box below. I'm not really going to talk about med school and like the entire process of getting here. I'm more just going to give you guys a little spiel about residency and what that kind of looks like for psych. As you guys know, I'm currently a second year and I'm also a chief resident, so I have a lot of experience with basically the behind the scenes of what being a resident really is like. And let me tell you, a lot of these things you did not expect or realize or know when you were a med student or a pre-med, or just like even the general public don't know what to expect. So let's talk about it, shall we? First things first, psych residency is 4 years long. Most specialties I feel like are 4 years residency. Internal medicine, family medicine, pediatrics are 3 years long, which is wonderful. We'll talk a little bit about my opinion on this 4 years later on, but it is 4 years. So your first year is called your intern year. You're not really an intern, you're a resident, but for some reason there's like a colloquial term of calling first year residents interns, like no matter what the specialty. Like once you start to interview for residency, you start to realize that most programs are more similar than they are different. At the end of the day, these programs need to meet ACGME requirements. They need to have X, Y, and Z fulfilled in order for them to be accredited. And so that's why I feel like in the end, they're more similar than they are different, which I think is something that I didn't realize until I started interviewing, because I had a really hard time kind of deciding how I wanted to rank my programs. But then I was like, I kind of came to the conclusion that I'm going to be fine no matter where I end up, because everyone has to meet certain requirements for me to be able to graduate. So that was really comforting for me to realize and experience, because the entire process was so stressful that I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to make this really tough life decision. But then I'm like, it's not going to be that bad, because wherever I end up, I'm going to be equipped, I'm going to get experience, and I'm going to be a great physician. So that was, I guess, starting kind of on a positive note about ranking and even picking the right residency program for you. It is such a personal decision when you create your rank list and you're trying to decide like, where do I want to end up? And the reason it's so personal is because everyone has different priorities. My priority was location and geography, and so I very much so ranked programs based off of location. I know that there are a lot of people who go based off of like title and prestige and research and like tied to academia and things like that. Those things kind of just didn't really matter to me anymore. When I was in high school, those things mattered to me, but as I grew up, a lot of my priorities changed, and right now my priority is definitely, obviously, to be a great physician, but also to have a fulfilling life outside of my career. Because another thing that you kind of start to realize is that you are replaceable in your workplace no matter what job you have. The unfortunate reality is that's just the truth, but your mind and your body is not replaceable, and so I did not want to sacrifice all of those things for a career. So that was just kind of my priority, and so that's how I created my rank list. But a lot of people do it based off of different preferences and different goals, so I'm just going to leave that at that and not kind of dive deeper into the whole rank a residency match program situation, because that can be an entire video in and of itself. So let's talk about what residency really looks like. First year residency, unfortunately, half of it is doing off-service rotations. What off-service means is like you're basically working on a service that is different than your own. So you're working on a specialty that is not psychiatry. For me, that looked like doing 3 months of internal medicine. Worst 3 months, oh my God. The reason it was so bad is because you work 6 days a week. Yeah, you work 6 days a week for 3 months straight. So it's miserable. It's quite literally miserable. So that's what I did for my first 3 months, and I literally started residency on that service, so it was so bad. I did 1 month of ICU, and the reason we do ICU as psychiatrists is, one, because at the end of the day, you're a medical doctor, right? You have an MD or DO, you need to know how to manage medical problems, blood pressure, diabetes, whatever. You need to know how to manage those things, even though you are a psychiatrist. But second, psychiatry actually gets consulted a lot in the ICU or like the medical floor, because for example, if someone comes in on an overdose, whether accidental or intentional, they will have psychiatry consults. So getting us comfortable in that environment I thought was important, and so that's why we did an ICU rotation. It was also kind of nice because we got to do procedures if we were interested, and we kind of took, you know, initiative. And again, at the end of the day, you're a physician, and so if you want to learn those things, cars outside, if you want to learn those things, it was a great opportunity. So we did 4 months of that, and then I did 2 months of neurology, which is very important. Neuro and psych, actually the accreditation or licensing board is the same. So I think it's important for psychiatrists to know a lot of neurology and neurologists to know a lot of psychiatry, because at the end of the day, you know, you can kind of make an argument that psychiatry and neurology are one and the same because they have to do with the brain, but we're not going to get into that either. So we did 2 months of neurology, which was a great experience. And what else did I do off service? Neuro, I think that was it. Yeah, that was it for so I did 6 months of off service rotations. And then the other months I spent doing inpatient adult psychiatry. So that's literally the behavioral health unit, the psych ward, whatever word you want to use to describe it. So another thing about intern year is like, how many patients do you have? What do you start with? How do you know what the heck to do? You don't. You kind of just figure it out. You have senior residents to support you, your attending to support you, and because you're kind of just thrown into it, you figure it out. You just find a way to figure it out, and you ask questions and you learn, and that's kind of about it. You come out on the other side. Cap wise, patient cap, so it's kind of different depending on what service you're on. Not all services have patient caps, but in general I feel like my patient cap was 7. Which is fine. On medicine, it was harder to have 7 patients because they're so medically complex. On psych, I think it's a lot more manageable unless they're going through a lot of legal stuff like conservatorship, Reese's, because you have to go to a lot of court hearings, yeah, that's what it's called. So that kind of makes it a lot of work, but I feel like it's in general manageable. And again, it's hard at first and then you kind of get used to it. So that's first year in a nutshell. Let me see. The only other thing that sucks about first year is that you have to take your step 3 exam. So as you guys know, in order to be a physician, you have to take multiple licensing exams. The first one is step 1, which you take 2nd year of medical school. Then you take step 3 in step 2 in your 3rd year of medical school. And then you take step 3 in your 1st year of residency. So you have to pass step 3 in order to move from 1st year to 2nd year of residency. If you do not pass step 3, at least in my program, I don't know if this is a general thing, you cannot progress to 2nd year of residency. So another thing that I had to do while kind of being thrown into being a doctor for the first time ever is studying for and passing step 3, which thankfully I did. So that's done and over with. So that is first year in a nutshell. You kind of are getting your toes wet. Is that the phrase? Yeah, get your feet wet, get your feet wet. English was not my first language, so let's just blame it to that. But you kind of get your feet wet with being a doctor, having these responsibilities, taking care of patients. 2nd year, you're kind of like, okay, I'm getting hang of this. I feel more confident. I kind of know what to expect. I kind of know what to do when things go wrong, and it's a lot better. So 2nd year of residency is again a lot of in the adult inpatient unit, which again, behavioral health unit, locked facility, whatever you want to call it. So we do a lot of months in those. We also do a couple months in the psychiatric emergency department. So what that is you work in the ED, but you work as a consult service. So if a patient comes into the hospital, into the emergency department, they have a psychiatric concern, say they are suicidal or they came in after a suicide attempt, they will get medically cleared, and then the ED doctor will want the psychiatrist to evaluate them to see if they need to be hospitalized or not. That is when we come in and we do a psychiatric evaluation in the ED. That evaluation is mostly like, do you need to be hospitalized? Are you acute, or are you able to follow up outpatient and kind of go home? Are you safe? So that is what we do a couple months of the psych ED. We also do a couple months of consult service. Basically, consult service is when patients are admitted to the medical floor. So like I go to the hospital because I have chest pain, and then you found out that I have a heart attack and I'm admitted to the medical floor. But then the primary team, the internal medicine doctors, want psychiatry's input for whatever reason. That could be behavioral disturbance, agitation, like history of schizophrenia, psychosis, whatever reason that they have that they're concerned about the patient, they want a psychiatric evaluation, they're consulting us. So we also do a couple months of consult service. And then something else that we also do is child and adolescent psychiatry. So a lot of programs are kind of different. Some programs don't have inpatient child and adolescent, it's just outpatient. Some have both. So that's what I've been on these past 2 months. So another thing that's kind of unique about my residency program is that starting second year, we start to have outpatient patients, like our own clinic patients who come to us every week, every 2 weeks, outpatient as an appointment. The reason that's unique is because typically most programs start that in third year of residency, but they kind of wanted us to experience it earlier. And if we start to carry patients in second year, we can kind of see them through third year and fourth year and have that continuity of care for a longer period of time. So that is what I've been doing, and I actually have an outpatient appointment later on today. So I kind of really like it because I ask myself all the time, do I want to work inpatient, outpatient, ED? What kind of environment do I want to work in? I still haven't decided, but getting the experience early on has, you know, it's nice to kind of experience it, because then you kind of look at the pros and cons and see where you thrive or where you see yourself thriving. So that's second year in a nutshell. It's kind of about it. Let's go to third year, because things are kind of getting better. I will say I think second year is definitely harder than first year. Even though first year you kind of don't know anything and you're a doctor or you're a brand new doctor, second year you have a lot more responsibility, in balancing inpatient and outpatient is a lot of work. And the call schedule is also heavier second year for us, at least. And so yeah, second year definitely is harder than first year. Third year is supposed to be getting easier for us. Actually, for most programs, third year is purely outpatient. So you don't do hospital work anymore, you just do clinic. So that's nice. You just have your patients come to you during their appointments and you see them. Kind of about it. That's third year. It's mostly just outpatient experience. And then fourth year is literally, it's all electives. And that is why I will argue that psychiatry residency does not need to be 3 years. It just does not, because why do you need an entire year of electives? You don't. They just wanted an extra year to have residents be overworked and underpaid. It's controversial, I don't know. I just feel like if you want to do electives, you can do it in your second and your third year, at least your third year, right? So anyways, fourth year is mostly electives. You can do more rotations in like a subspecialty that you're interested in, like child and adolescent, forensic, women's health, like things like that. And a lot of people, what they do fourth year is moonlight. What the heck is moonlighting? So the world of medicine is beautiful in the way that they kind of found a way to not only overwork residents and underpay them for the amount of work they do, but they made something called moonlighting, which is when you work extra on top of your overworked hours, but at least this time you get paid more. So it's essentially just overtime pay. So you're working extra outside of like your residency hours, but you're getting paid a higher price. And so a lot of residents will just mostly moonlight fourth year because, like I said, you're mostly doing electives, and moonlighting is important because we don't get paid enough for how much we work. And also it kind of gives you a little idea of what graduating is like, because when you're moonlighting, you're essentially acting as a junior attending. You're working by yourself, you're working independently as a psychiatrist. So it kind of gives you really good experience because you're technically still a resident, but you're acting as a junior attending. So you do have someone to lean back on and like call your attendings and stuff if you have questions, but also again, you're kind of starting to experience what it's like when you graduate soon and you're on your own. So that is what moonlighting is, and a lot of people will also start doing that fourth year, sometimes even third year. That is residency in a nutshell with regards to like the rotations. Some of the other rotations that I mentioned is like forensics, we do street psychiatry, we also do We also do geriatric rotations, so sometimes we'll go to like nursing homes and things like that and do management. So there are a lot of other like subspecialties and little areas that we also do rotations in, but a lot of that is not necessarily required. It's just electives. Okay, what else can I touch on? All of this doesn't really include the call schedule. Every program's kind of different. Some programs will do night shifts, so blocks of night shift. So you work, say all of October, you are working a night shift 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. That's just your shift, and you're covering anything that happens during the night. We personally don't do that. We do 24-hour shifts. It has its pros and cons. So the pro of doing a 24-hour shift is the next day you are off, because essentially you leave work at 8 a.m. the next day and you need to be off because you need to sleep. So that's a pro. A con is like you do 24-hour shifts pretty frequently, so it's very annoying to have to sleep at the hospital. But that's just, it kind of is what it is. Third year, you also do 24-hour shifts. You're also on call. I think fourth year, we're gonna do no call. So we'll see, things kind of ebb and flow and things change. But I wanted to just make this video to answer your question of like, what in the world does psychiatry residency entail? I would love for you guys to leave questions in the comments of literally anything else you guys want me to answer, because I would love to answer them in maybe another video. Maybe I could do a Q&A. Just let me know what else you guys want to learn about either medicine, psychiatry, or just like life in general. Love to hear from you guys, so that way I can know what you guys are interested in. But I was getting so many comments about what is residency like, things like that. So I figured, why not make a little video so you guys could watch and kind of get a little spiel about what residency is really like. So I think we're gonna end the vlog. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to take care of yourself. You matter just the way you are, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.